You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network and the John Fredericks Radio apps. Great to have you with us. We are rocking and rolling across America. Just heard from Rob Crilly, Washington Examiner. Enjoy that. Joining us now, the man of the hour in Virginia. Wow. It's breathtaking what the Democrats have done there in a week. Or was it 2 weeks? It's crazy. Joining us now, the president and the chief executive officer of the National Right to Work Committee, my good friend Mark Mix. Mark, is your head spinning yet?
No, John. If I get spinning, we get shiny things going up here on the top, and it might freak people out. But no, it is a difficult, interesting time, and I got to tell you, Dancing with the Moonlight and Superstition is a great way to bump into your show. Those bring back fond memories. But fond memories used to be lower tax rates in Virginia, and that may be a memory because you're right. But there's other things they're doing, John, that you and I have talked about that are important. The good news is that the right to work repeal bill is kind of slowed down. I think that's part of the work that you're doing, mobilizing people across the Commonwealth. They have not scheduled a hearing on that right to work bill. Some of the legislators are talking about, well, it's not going to come up. We're not going to do it. We're going to protect right to work. We don't believe them, John, and we got to keep the pressure on all the way up to the last day of the legislature. There's no question about that. But the real problem right now is that next week, it looks like we're going to get a hearing on what is the statewide bargaining bill, the union bargaining bill. Senator Scott Somerville says that they're going to unionize 700,000 Virginians who are government employees and or home health care providers. And they're going to do this by setting up a structure much like the structure in California. They're going to set up a state personnel employee relations board to adjudicate problems in the public sector. It's going to be card check unionization, John. We talked about this. Instead of secret ballot elections where there's no pressure on a worker to face anyone that might be putting pressure on them to unionize, they're going to unionize by card check. There's binding arbitration in the bill, which says that some third party can decide what the policy is going to be for government employees. It's just really an outrageous bill. And there's going to be a hearing in the Senate on Monday. There was supposed to be a hearing this past week in the House, but they passed it over. I think people are starting to get activated and get energized, not only on right to work, but on this union bargaining bill. And it's really important. The Senate bill is 378. The House bill is 1263. So if you got people that want to contact our legislators, Senate bill 378, House bill 1263, those bills need to be defeated.
So, I mean, the ramifications of this, you're going to unionize 700,000 municipal, state, and municipal workers in Virginia, which means that every city, anybody that works for the public sector, which is where, this is the thing about it, we're paying for this. This is all taxpayer dollars, right? This is where your property taxes go, where your income taxes go in Virginia. You're paying for every one of these employees, and now the Democrats are going to give them the right to unionize and get more money. One of the things they passed it is like every federal worker gets $25,000 to buy a home. I mean, that's another thing they're promoting. I mean, I'd like to get $25,000. I mean, you're already, a federal, a state, worker. You're a part of the bureaucracy. It's impossible to get fired. You got great benefits. Now you're going to get $25,000. This is taxpayer money because they want them. They want to do what they can to unionize and be sure that these 700,000 workers vote for the Democrats, get their family to vote for the Democrats, forget the hatchbacks, knock doors, make phone calls, right? They want to turn it into a 700,000 big army with all their families. That's why they're behind us.
Yeah, and that's why, and the other thing they want to do, not only that, John, if that's not bad enough, they want to get in between taxpayers, citizens, and voters and the elected officials that we send to Richmond to do the will of the people. And the bottom line is this: you put this third-party private organization in between taxpayers and elected officials, and bad things happen. We've seen it in California. We've seen it in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island. Illinois is probably the best case study of what's going on there. I mean, the teachers are on strike there, once or twice a year? The demands are just outrageous. And when you give union officials that power, and then you say that the impasse resolution is binding arbitration, meaning this is the final decision that we're going to make over how government employees are going to work and the terms and conditions of employment, you're talking about a potential fiscal disaster for the Commonwealth of Virginia. I think Commonwealth of Virginia is run very well, going back to the time in 1993 when Democrat Governor Doug Wilder signed a bill prohibiting union bargaining for government employees in the Commonwealth of Virginia. It was Governor Northam that overturned and made it, quote, optional. Now it's Governor Spanberger that says, no more option, no more prohibition. We're going all in on union monopoly power over our government.
Well, and the other advantage for the Democrats here, other than, they get all these voters that are beholden to them because they're getting this goodie bag of stuff, is the union dues are taken out of their check. They can't do anything about it, so that gets confiscated, and then the unions get all this money, and then what do they do with the money? They go back and they give it to the Democrats. I mean, the whole thing is a scam.
Yeah, John. The good news is a couple things about that, but here's what's going to happen. The pressure to join the union is going to be very, very high. It's going to be high pressure. They're going to have special meetings with any new employees. The union gets time to sit down with them and go over paperwork and go over what the union can do for them. And then what they'll do is they'll put in language that says, you must be a member in good standing of the union to work for Caswell County, for example. And what that means is it doesn't mean you have to be a member of the union, but it means you need to be a member in good standing. So any reasonable person would see, well, I got to be a member in good standing. I guess I got to pay dues. The dues will be voluntary because we won a U.S. Supreme Court case called Janus that says that no government worker anywhere in America at any level of government can be forced to pay dues or fees to work for government. But that's not the information they're going to get from union officials. And to your point, when the contract says you must be a member in good standing, meaning you don't have to join and you don't have to pay dues, but you must be a member in good standing, you're going to get a whole bunch of people that are going to put money in, and then they'll use that money for the politics in that vicious cycle.
It's just incredible. And but we got to take action. I mean, if you look at what the Democrats have done in Virginia in 2 weeks, it is incredible. I mean, the taxes they passed, they're taxing everything. You can't do anything without paying a tax now in Virginia, and they're taking your rights away. They're trying to strip guns away. I mean, it goes on and on and on. The nonsense they're doing. Electric bills are going up 3x. So people calling up our show saying they could text me, said, I just got a bill for $600. It was like $190. I mean, it's insane. Imagine if Republicans did that. They'd all be going crazy. But if the Democrats do it, it's somehow it's okay. It's for the greater good or something. It is so egregious. But you got to take action, folks. I mean, we can sit here and we can yap all day. We can go on social media. That doesn't do anything. Here's what you got to do. Number one, for right to work, I want you to go right now to Virginia, spell it out, virginiarighttowork.com. Virginia, the word, righttowork.com. You fill the petition out there saying you want to save right to work in Virginia, save 200,000 jobs. But now here's what right to work does with that petition, right? You don't have to do anything. You just fill it out, answer the survey. That's it. Here's what they do with it. They send it to your member of the House. So whatever district you're in goes to your House member. Then they send it to the member that represents you in the state Senate. They don't have to do anything there. Then thirdly, you get a whole batch of them. They get a whole big thing of them. They send them all to Spanberger at the executive mansion. So you get it to your House member, you get it to your Senate member, and you get it to Spanberger all at the same time. And that is what they'll do for you. But we've got to speak up, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely, John. And thanks for doing that. And thanks for pushing that. We're going to be down there on Monday. We'll be testifying at the hearing on the bargaining bill, and we'll be delivering petitions to House of Delegates members, state Senate members, and hopefully a huge pile. To your point, we may need the bus, John, to drive them down there. You come up and pick them up. We'll load up the bus and take them down. But I got to tell you, we need more. And that's the only thing that politicians pay attention to for the most part, John, is they want to get reelected, and they want you to be in the dark about what's happening in Richmond. And then when you wake up and get an electric bill, you say, how in the world did this happen? Well, it happened because we weren't paying attention. How in the world did Virginia repeal the right to work law, and now I'm forced to pay union dues to keep my job? Well, it happened because we weren't paying attention and we weren't taking action. Thomas Jefferson said we've got to be educated. That's the only way this grand experiment in self-government can survive. And John, thank you for educating people, and we'll continue to make it extremely easy and possible for you to get your voice heard in Richmond on these bills.
So when you testify Monday, what are you going to be saying in that hearing, Mark?
Yeah, well, it'll be John Kalb, who's our vice president for legislation. He'll be down there on Monday. I've got a couple other places I've got to be. We got other problems elsewhere, John. But we're going to talk about the taxpayer. We're going to talk about the monopoly bargaining, putting a private organization over the control of how we run government. mean, President Trump is dealing with this right now. He came in to the federal bureaucracy and he said, we're going to run the executive branch the way we want to run it. We're not going to let private institutions like organized labor dictate terms and conditions of employment. I mean, it's just wrong and it doesn't work. And Franklin Roosevelt, for goodness sakes, was on our side on this. You know, it's unthinkable and intolerable that we would unionize government employees. It's not the same as the private sector. So we'll be talking about that. Generally, you know, in these committees, they stack them pretty hard. They give you a couple, maybe a minute or two to talk, and you gotta be concise. But the real impact is not necessarily what we say at those hearings, John. What has real impact is how many Virginians contact them about it.
That's going to be the key. Is
Yeah.
you know, it's back to like everything, Mark. It's action, action, action. And why I think we've got a little spring in our step now is because I think people are realizing the folly of what they voted for. Right? It all sounded good. Spenberger's a moderate. They don't like this about President Trump or whatever. They don't like this or that. And so they voted these people in, and now look at what they've got. Increases in electric bill, increases in tax bill, increases everywhere you go. They're jamming things down the schools, down your throat there. They're jamming everything through, and now they're trying to get rid of right to work, unionize. And the thing about unionizing municipal workers, even worse than the confiscation that they do without right to work, is like, I'm paying for you. Like your job, like I'm paying for that. And so now you're going to unionize against me and I'm paying for you so that you can get a goodie bag of other stuff where you already have a great job with great benefits and you can't get fired. I just hate to be this way, but it's like at some point it doesn't make any sense because you're working for the taxpayer, right?
Yeah, and you know, to the point, John, if government employees now are unionized, there's the VEA, the Virginia Education Association, the firefighters union, they're unionized and they're making their voices heard in Richmond, they're making their voices heard in elections. What we're talking about now is formalizing by government action their ability to demand things at the government level and not be ignored in the sense of, or having to be considered. So when binding arbitration comes in, the way that works is, John, you want two, I want two. Somebody sits down between us and says, Mark, you get two. John, you get nothing. That is the difference. The idea of organizing and mobilizing and joining together voluntarily and advocating in Richmond is perfect for government unions, and if they want to do that, and government employees. But when you say you have to sit at the table with them and you have to negotiate over every term and condition of employment, that's when it gets weird, and that's when it gets bad, and that's when you get to California, and we're headed there.
And an arbitrator will make that decision.
Yeah.
That's it, right? Mark Mix, I want to thank you. Listen, all I want people to do is go to virginiarighttowork.com, spell it out, virginiarighttowork.com, fill the petition out. So we can bring that bus up there and take a bus load on Monday, virginiarighttowork.com. Mark Mix, I want to thank you for being with us. As always, truth to power. That's what Mark does. Thank you. As always, Mark Mix, the president and the leader of the National Right to Work Committee. Keep doing what you're doing. Truth to power, baby. It's the only way we stop this nonsense going on. Just let people know what's going on. Tell them the truth. And we got a lot of smart people around us. We're going to figure this out. Mark, thanks for being with us. To you and your team. Have a super weekend. All right.